A knock at the door. Detectives ask, "Would you mind coming down to the station to take a polygraph test about where you were last night? Little Miss Muffet was found dead, and you have rare poisonous spiders. A lie detector machine can prove your innocence." Do lie detector tests really work? Are they foolproof? Some experts say so, others tell a different story. I'll tell you how they work, and you can make your own decision about their reliability. Lie detectors measure physiological changes in the body related to stress. A person undergoes more stress when being deceitful than truthful. In order to gauge stress levels, a baseline of truthful bodily reactions must be recorded for the comparison of relevant questions for truth to be determined. First, I will explain what types of bodily responses are measured. Second, I will reveal the different test types. And third, I will discuss the test process. Now that you have an overview of what I'd like to cover today, let's move on to examine the physiological responses to questioning and the activity of what the subject's breathing, blood pressure, and sweating. There is quite a bit of science that goes into the monitoring of a polygraph machine. In a book entitled Handbook of Forensic Psychology, it is found that the subject's respiratory rate is measured by two rubber tubes placed around the chest and abdomen. These tubes are filled with air. When the chest and abdomen expand, the tubes become contracted, creating a variable reading that is recorded on the graph. Measuring the blood pressure and heart rate is done. A cuff and tubing are put on the arm, and as the blood pumps through the arm, it produces sound. The sound displaces air, and the tubing is recorded on the graph paper. In an article in the Journal of Psychology, galvanic skin resistance is described. This is a gauge of how much the subject is sweating. A sensor is placed on two fingers to measure the ability of the skin to conduct electricity. The more the skin sweats, the less electrical resistance. The change is recorded on the graph. While recording each response, questioning takes place. There are different formats of a polygraph interview. The control question test and the guilty knowledge test are the most common. That is what I will focus on next. First, the control question test. According to the website called How Stuff Works, the test is structured to compare the subject's physiological reactions to questions which consist of three types: irrelevant, relevant, and control, which are questions that are vague and designed to create doubt. Experts agree that the control questions is less accurate, but this type of test is most common. Its wide use is due to the fact that the test can be applied to most and any type of investigation circumstance. The guilty knowledge test records the subject's knowledge of a crime scene that will investigate the guilty party. Only the guilty party would know. Items like a murder weapon would be displayed. A book called Psychology and Law says that the graph shows significant response to the item actually used. The theory states that the subject must possess guilty knowledge, and it fails. The test is most accurate use of a polygraph machine, but may not be applicable in the majority of the cases as security clearance investigations. After the appropriate format is chosen, the interview begins. So let's move on to the last topic. The examiner follows the strict procedure of 4 steps, and it is most important part when it comes time to administer the lie detector test. The first step is the pre-test. The subject and the examiner discusses the test procedure, the subject's medical history, and details of the test. This usually takes 30 minutes or up to 2 hours or longer. According to an article published by the National Academies Press, the examiner during this time is gathering information, observing the profile, and the behavior of the subject. The examiner is looking for reactions to questions. Designing questions is the next step. The examiner prepares a series of questions that will be asked of the subject. Each question is gone over to ensure the understanding of what is being asked. Only questions that are reviewed will be asked during the test. The third step is the end test. This is the actual exam. This consists of 10 or 11 questions. Of these, 3 and 4 are control questions. According to the website called How to Pass a Lie Detector, the control questions provide the norms on the graph to which the other questions will be compared. Subjects are instructed to answer untruthfully to control questions such as, "In the past 20 years, have you ever told a lie?" The examiner will ask the person to tell a lie. Therefore, there will be a norm on the graph when they do tell a lie. The final step is the post-test. Data is gathered and analyzed by the examiner to determine if the person is telling the truth. Significant fluctuation signals the subject has been deceptive, therefore guilty or telling a lie. So in conclusion, if there comes a knock at your door and you are asked, you have nothing to hide from the police, right? Perhaps by listening to this presentation, it has made you more comfortable in the response you give. You may have decided if you believe that lie detectors work or if they are foolproof. I hope that I have been able to enlighten you on how the lie detector works and how the results are analyzed. First, the lie detector machine monitors a person's reactions physiologically to the series of questions. It measures pulse and other physical signs at the same time a person is being asked questions. Second, lie detectors are permitted in court only if all parties agree. Even so, law enforcement agencies still use them in their criminal investigations. Employers use them as a screening tool. Third and finally, lie detectors are not capable of detecting lies. The machine can only show changes in the bodily reactions due to lying. So if you ever submit yourself to a lie detector test, the most important point is to remember to stay calm and speak the truth. Thank you for your attention.